Alright everybody, this is Sawyer, and we're back with another, comic book haul, going through the collection type thing. I still haven't figured out a good thing to call these yet, but anyway, let's start getting into books. First off, we have Marvel Team Up, Spider-Man, and Hawkeye. This is number 92 of Marvel Team Up. This is kind of like, if you're familiar with Brave and the Bold, how it's like always Batman teaming up with different characters. This is like Marvel's version where it's always Spider-Man teaming up with different characters. Like every issue is a standalone story with Spider-Man teaming up with some various different Marvel character. These are actually really cool because sometimes you got appearances by really obscure small characters that could never manage to have their own full story, so they get to share a story with like Spider-Man. Since Spider-Man was so popular. Since it's still so popular, he would always, anytime you put somebody in his comic, it kind of boosts that character a little bit, even if they're a terrible character. But in this case, it was Hawkeye, which, Hawkeye's not a bad character. He's actually a pretty mainstream character. So yeah, I love this cover. They're fighting Mr. Fear. It's kind of like the Marvel version of this character, I guess. And you see like Hawkeye, they're both super scared. So it's a cool cover. It's a very interesting kind of gimmicky cover, but not too gimmicky. Next up, we have a couple comics that I got from Books A Million a while back. I've said in earlier videos that my Books A Million is pretty good for having like random dollar books. Like it's always modern books, but sometimes you get cool variants and stuff. This one's not a variant, but this one is Old Man Logan number 13. My bad. So a cool cover, kind of a cool little Japanese inspired cover. If you're a long time comic book fan, Wolverine has a lot of roots in Japan. He had many storylines when he's been to Japan. He fell in love with this. I don't know if she's like a princess or what, but he fell in love with this like high noble woman who was very high on the hierarchy, and they became a couple for a long time too. I think she was killed originally in the comic books, but then they've probably changed that 4 times by now. But yeah, he definitely has extended roots in Japan, which is weird because at first glance, you wouldn't think that Wolverine is like this international kind of like character. But yeah. Let's see. Next up, we have Black Panther let's see, which one is this? Number 5. This is a variant cover. This is the Fraud Pie variant. You can see on the bottom there. Really cool cover. This is a really nice, slick cover. I really like it. It's very presentable, and I really need to get them. I really need to take these out of these little bags. Like a lot of the variant ones, like from Books A Million, come in these really crappy, really lightweight bags. Like I don't know if you can tell, but the bags is kind of dirty looking, and the board, the backing board is extremely thin. It's basically just like what do you call that? Not construction paper, but I can't think what it's called now. But yeah. Oh, cardstock. It's basically like really, really thin cardstock. So, not a big fan of that. Not a big fan of those packaging they do. Next up, we have Spider-Man number 1. This is the movie promotional from the very first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie, or Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie. This is like a Walmart exclusive. I don't really know if these have any kind of value. I mean, they're like promotional things, but they're kind of new. And, usually anything like that from that time period is not really worth anything, and it's I'm sure they made a lot of them, and it's Walmart. It's probably not worth anything. But anyway, it's always cool to have those. I do like these movie promotion. I do like these old like early 2000 movie promotional comic books. Next up, we have this Submariner Prince Namor number 3. This is part of a 4-issue limited series. Marvel did a lot of these in the, I guess, 70s, 80s. No, well, 80s. They did a lot of these in the 80s. A lot of these 4-issue miniseries. Usually the idea was that you would take a character who wasn't very well established and you make them a 4-issue miniseries to basically see how fans would react to a standalone story of the character, like if they would like it, if they wanted more of it. Usually they just end it with a 4-issue series because usually they pick the characters that weren't very mainstream. They also like to do these with characters that were part of teams but never had their own book. Like you see a lot of these with different members of the X-Men. I think Nightcrawler had one. I think Iceman had one. You know, different characters that are like part of teams that don't normally get their own spotlight. They had these 4-issue miniseries. So this is a Sumerian one, which Sumerian is actually a pretty big character. I mean, he was big like in the Golden Age, but ever since then he's never really picked up quite the same level of exposure he had back then, I guess. Next up, we have Superman, Man of Steel, number 22. This is part of the Reign of the Superman storyline. This is basically like in the 90s, 1993 to be exact, it says it right down the cover. In the 1990s, they had this whole big storyline where Superman got killed by Doomsday, and and in his wake there was lots of different characters trying to take the mantle of Superman. I mean, you had Superboy was trying to take the mantle. You had this like Kryptonian clone guy who had like weird energy powers. I forget his name. He was trying to take the mantle. You had Steel, which is featured on this cover. He's basically this black guy who was like a engineer or whatnot, and he made himself his own armored suit to give himself powers. Basically, think of him like Iron Man, but if Iron Man was a really big fan of Superman, he decided to model everything after Superman. So yeah, and also there was a cyborg Superman. There's all kinds of shit. But yeah, so this is the issue basically focusing on Steel. I'm kind of curious. I'm pretty sure this isn't the first appearance, but does anybody know what the first appearance of Steel is? Like, if you do, let me know in the comments or something. I've always kind of interested to know what his first appearance is, because I'm pretty sure it's not that. Because it might be, but I doubt it. I really do doubt it. Next up, this is a horrible bagging board. We have the Comet number 2. Yeah, I really like these Impact comics. I probably have. Well, I've had pretty much the whole run. I think I lost a bunch of them because a while back I was in a kind of a mood. I was in a weird place with myself, and I sold a whole bunch of comic books for like super dirt cheap. Probably I got rid of like 2 or 3 long boxes or short boxes for like, I don't even want to say it. It was really low, and various books were in those. I didn't really look through the books because they were long time storage. So I lost a lot of my original collection. But yeah. So at one point I had just about every issue of Impact Comics, which was it's a DC imprint. Imprints are basically like kind of like sub companies that DC would make, and that like they would feature different titles, different characters. They're usually self-contained storylines, self-contained worlds. The best example of an imprint is Vertical. Vertical is DC's like big mature reader imprint for like mature readers. But Impact was one that was more like along the lines of kind of like more classical, kind of traditional cheesy superhero stuff. It was basically the idea was they like DC has bought in several companies over the years, like so many. And one of the companies they bought like way back when was a company called Archie Comics, which was known for doing the Archie comics, but for some reason they didn't get rights to actual Archie characters. They just got rights to some other characters that the company had, the company also had a bunch of superheroes under their belt, like just a bunch of just really little known Golden Age characters. So in the 90s, DC decided to revamp a bunch of those characters, put them in their own self-contained universe, and do like a comic book run of it. It didn't last very long. I think it only lasted for a few years. But this is one of the characters. His name is the Comet. He's basically kind of like a Cyclops kind of guy. Well, I say Cyclops. He's kind of like Cyclops mixed with like a Captain Atom kind of character. Like he's just a very unstable kind of energy-based character. But he has a big visor thing that he can open it up to shoot lasers. Of course, he can shoot lasers from every part of his body. But that's beside the point. He's kind of a cool character, especially like if you look at his Golden Age stories, because he's famous for being like a very ruthless kind of superhero. Like he would just murder people. Like, I mean, they're bad guys, but he would murder bad guys all the time. And like back when that wasn't quite as common as it kind of is now with all the anti-heroes. But yeah, I really enjoy the Impact comics. I thought they were fun. They do kind of lack from having any really decent villains. Like most of the villains are just kind of one-shot gimmicky villains, like this dude Applejack. I don't even really know what this guy is. It's kind of like a freaking voodoo guy or something. But yeah. Next up, I feel like I need to sneeze, and it's probably going to come at some point. Next up we have Doctor Strange Fate #1. This is from, I can never pronounce that. Is it Anagram? It's from the Anagram comics. I'm just gonna go with that. I'm just gonna go with Anagram now. This is basically, I'm sure a lot of you guys know what this is, but during like, was it in the 90s or was it the early 2000s? Somewhere along that line, DC and Marvel decided to merge and do this like special event where they basically combined a lot of their characters together. They had like, well, it started off, to rewind a little bit, it started off with a bunch of like versus books, like different, like taking a Marvel character and a DC character and having them fight each other. Like you had Batman versus Captain America, you had Thor versus, who was it? Thor versus Wonder Woman, I think. You know, like you had Superman versus the Hulk. You had a bunch of these different like mashups, and that was really popular. So after they did that, they proceeded to do the storyline where like some big cosmic, you know, these two big cosmic beings that were essentially the essence of Marvel and the DC universe came together, and they basically merged the two universes together. And so you had all these characters that were basically just like mixtures of two different characters, or two or more characters from the various companies. And so they made a bunch of one-shot stories and they're very interesting. They're pretty popular with collectors, even though they're not really worth anything. But they're just fun reads. They're really interesting. They're really interesting reads. They're really interesting conversation starters if you're sitting on your shelf or whatever. This is Doctor Strange Fate. This is basically, I don't know, I'm pretty sure you can tell, but this is like a mixture of Doctor Strange and Doctor Fate. Basically the two biggest magical-based characters in comics, you know, from each company. So that was really cool to have that. You know. Next up, we have Lost in Space. Space Family Robertson, well, they didn't say the number on it. These old Whitman books never say the number on the cover, which is kind of annoying. It makes it annoying for collectors because you have to actually open the book up and look at it. Which some of you might do that anyway, but I'm known for not reading half the books I pick up. So yeah. But I love these old Whitman covers. They're kind of, just like the Gold Key covers. The Gold Key and Whitman covers are just great. I love this. Like I don't know if these are all done by particular artists or if it's like if there's multiple artists that had this style. But this is a very unique kind of particular style of cover that Gold Key and Whitman were known for. A very kind of realistic kind of painting cover. It's very cool. I love these covers. I always try to pick up covers like that have that style whenever I can find them. So next up, I want to talk about a very special book that I've had in my collection for years since I was a little kid, and I want to give you some background story on it first before you see it, because it's gonna probably make you mad when you see it. But so I've had this book, like I said, since I was a little kid, and I don't know, I don't remember exactly how I got it. I think I just bought it in the store with some like allowance or something. I don't think it was very expensive. I think I might have paid $10, $15 for it. Yeah, I'm not sure. And it it was in a lot better shape when I first bought it. But over the years, I've read it and I've not had it in the best storage. It's gotten really beat up. It's if you grade this book, it'd probably be like a 1 or less. Especially since the cover is completely detached. Like I still have the cover, and I have the cover on the book, so it presents like it looks like it's together. But if you take it out of the bag, it's gonna fall apart. But yeah, it's a very iconic issue, a key issue, I guess you could say. It's the first appearance of a character. Technically, it's like the character appears in like one panel, but it is the character's first appearance, so it's very collectible. And it kind of saddens me that it's in this bad shape. And the funny thing is, I didn't actually know that this was a key issue until like very recently, like just probably a few weeks ago, because like I stumbled upon this book in my collection after like several years of never forgetting that I had it. So I looked at it and I was like, wait a minute. I looked at the cover. I was like, I feel like I've seen this cover before. Like I feel like I've seen this cover like in videos or like Facebook posts about like iconic comic books and stuff. So I was like, man, I feel like this is the first appearance of somebody. So I skimmed through the book, and sure enough, on the very last panel was a pretty major first appearance. So I'll just show you guys. I've been hyping it up so much. You got the Amazing Spider-Man #134. This is the very first appearance of the Punisher. He appears in the very last panel, Not even the page, just the panel. He basically just pops up. He's like, he trash talks Spider-Man a little bit. He's like, says something like, well, you never faced an enemy like me before. I'm Punisher, or some shit like that. And then it ends. And then it continues in the next issue, which the next issue is pretty much famous for being the first appearance of the Punisher, even though this is technically the first appearance. But the next issue, I knew that sneeze was coming. So, but the next issue is actually like the first cover with the Punisher on it, the first main issue where fans like realized who he was and all that. Like, that's the one that's got the iconic Punisher with the sniper rifle, and he had Spider-Man like in the scope. Yeah. But this one is like, I'm pretty sure this is the one right before that, and this is the one where he makes his very first appearance. So yeah, I actually don't know how much this book is worth if it's in good condition. This one is really not in good condition, and I mean, like I said, the cover is completely detached. There's no staples holding it together. It's got all these chips on it. Like half the cover, like half the sides are like just chipped, and it's in really bad shape. But I don't know. I don't know if this book's actually worth that much if it's in good shape. You think it would be. I don't know. I know the next one up. I know the next one, which is considered like the first real appearance of the Punisher. I know that one is like what, $500 in good grade usually. Ungraded, like a decently graded raw version. I think goes for like $500, probably more, because I think that's a price I saw I saw that price a couple years ago, so it's probably worth a lot more. I know my local comic book store had a copy of it that was in pretty good shape, and it was going for $500. Ungraded, unstabbed, and so I don't know if that's like a good going price for it or not. I probably should have bought that. I mean, I didn't have the money for it, but yeah, it's definitely a book I would like to have. I'm a huge Punisher fan. I would love to have that book in my collection. Basically, like if I could choose some keys that I would like to have, besides the obvious like keys that I'll probably never own, like Batman, like Detective Comics number 27, Action Comics number 1. But if we're going by characters I actually enjoy and stuff, I would really want the first appearance of Punisher. I'd really want the first appearance of Daredevil. I would love to have some key Green Arrow stories. Obviously, I wouldn't really want the first appearance because it's kind of like a crappy Golden Age story. But I would love to have some more like key Green Arrow stories. Like probably I would love to have the one with Speedy's like a drug addict and all that, and stuff like that. I'm sure there's some other ones that I would love to have, but I think Daredevil and Punisher first appearance would be very high on the list to have, because those are two of my very favorite characters. I also wouldn't mind having Plasma Man. I would love to have like the first appearance of Plasma Man, like some of the keys, some of the old Golden Age issues would be nice to have. It's really hard to find those in good shape. If you're not going to pay like hundreds of dollars for. But yeah, that is my video, guys. I basically wanted to show off a few of these books. Kind of wanted to talk about that Spider-Man book, because I didn't realize that I still had this book. I didn't realize I owned this book. And it was funny because I was super excited, and then my excitement went all the way down once I realized how bad of a shape this book is in. But that's why kids probably shouldn't collect comic books. Maybe there's a moral in that story. I don't know. Anyway, see you guys later. As always, thank you for liking, comment, and subscribe, and all that other stuff you guys do. And see you guys later.